With dreams in their eyes, every year millions of students start preparing for the coveted UPSC exams. And this year was no different, with a few hundred finding their mention in the merit list. With us today, we have someone who, on her second attempt, has got this amazing feat of getting All India rank 124. Let's welcome Veena. Hi, Veena. Welcome. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm very well. But this amazing achievement, AIR 124, I am sure the day of result would have been very happy day for all of you, your family and friends. What was your reaction and how did your family responded to this rank?
It was great feeling because last year I had 299. So this year was definitely an improvement. So first there was all hooray and all, and after celebration then I thought, okay, now what service I'll get. And but yeah, all overall happy feeling only. It's always great to see your name in that list, because yeah, that feeling of seeing it is like because you worked like for 1 year and all. So in the end, that one little name in that list means a lot.
I am sure it is a lot of things going on when the result is about to come. But this year, especially, it was very tedious given COVID situation and the interview also stretched for a while. What would you like to suggest to aspirants who become disheartened or discouraged because of certain situations or the peer pressure of people around them? How did you cope with the pressure that comes along with this tedious preparation?
I think for our generation especially it's very difficult because we have too much information through whether through social media or people always. So we while preparing for UPSC it sort of becomes like your life has come to like standstill and everybody else is moving on. So I think the point is that you have to keep on going because you are doing it, you have a aim, you want to serve your country. At the end of the day, that is what matters. And no matter who says what, you have to always know that you can do it and not give up and not be disheartened. And even if you don't get your name in the list, right? See, at the end of the day, you can do good for people wherever you're working. You can do excellent work as an engineer, you can do amazing work as a doctor or a teacher. So never be like disheartened like I couldn't be an IPS or IAS officer. That is also excellent jobs, but life is full of opportunities and UPSC is just one of them. Just one.
Well said. Now, coming up to the profession, current affairs find their special mention over the years, a lot of questions, and when we speak about current affairs, you can definitely not miss mentioning newspapers. So, what was your strategy while preparing current affairs? And do you suggest making notes helps in your profession with newspapers, or would you go with the monthly compilations that come along?
Actually, when I started preparing, I used to read Hindu and I used to make notes and I made like hand notes. And eventually, I didn't use any of them. I did it just for 1 month or so. Then I realized the futility of it. So I stopped making notes. What I did was I read newspaper and you can take one of these Evernote or other things are also there, I guess, notes or something like that. And you can just make online note soft notes on it because those are very much easier to retrieve and you can just simply search or just easily go through. Even you can go through on your phone also. So that I would suggest. I would especially suggest that for case studies and examples because those at the end of the day make a huge difference because everybody is writing the same thing. But to make yours something special, you can add your case studies, examples, or data that you can make in a note which you can easily revise. And what I have learned right now is that even like right now because there are so many monthly compilations and all, and I've heard a lot of toppers not doing paper. I mean, not reading paper at all and simply passing with the help of monthly compilation. And what I do is I read the paper because what happens when you write mains or prelims is that you don't have time to think. When you're writing mails or when you are talking in interview, whatever you know, you can only write that. Within 10 minutes, you have to write a 15 minutes answer. You don't have time to sit and retrieve data from like some what I had studied. If you think like that for every question, you will never finish your paper. You will not crack mails also.
All right. So, newspapers, the charm of newspapers, done with that. Now comes the next part, which is preparing for the prelims. Prelims is something which is very crucial, and a lot of students find it very difficult to crack it, even in their third or fourth attempts. So, how would you suggest students to prepare for prelims?
Prelims is something you cannot crack with knowledge because they are asking such random questions. I don't think so anybody writing prelims will know answer to like more than 50 of them, because those questions, some reports and all, you don't have time to go through all that. So what I do and what I have heard people do and what has worked for me is that you take a number of question papers from any institute, you buy them and you take it and you practice. Like do at least 30 question papers before the prelims. And what happens is that you
Okay.
automatically get that ability to guess the answer, what they call as educated guesswork. And that is what I have heard maximum number of people do. And people who are not able to crack, usually they are unable to do this educated guesswork. Some people easily crack also many times because they are able to do this educated guesswork thing. That is the best strategy I have heard and what has worked for me in case of prelim.
Prelims educated guess that needs a lot of backup. The basics should be somehow clear to start with the educated guesswork. So, how would you suggest that one starts preparing? Like, suppose the next year we have a year to prepare. What would your advice be to the aspirants who are starting to prepare for UPSC?
When I started preparing for UPSC, what I did was I went to YouTube and I watched a couple of toppers videos, and I noticed like what are a couple of things that all of them have done. So I noticed that all of them had read newspaper and all of them had read Lakshmikant and all of them had studied their optionals. So what I did was I started reading newspaper, I started reading Lakshmikant, and I joined for optional classes. So these three things I knew that if I'm studying it, my time is not going to waste. And then I moved on to the specific thing, like what extra has to do, like which book to select for history. For that, again, I listen to people, like what they're saying. Okay, so everybody is most cost effective is Spectrum because you don't have a lot of time. And first attempt itself with perseverance, patience, and luck, you can crack it. So I went and listened what everybody is reading, which is the best effective book. So Spectrum was good. So I read Spectrum. Then for world history, I searched. For similarly, I searched like what to do for GS2, what is the good thing. And similarly, I did. I generated enough knowledge for myself that when I cracked prelims, I could answer. I had enough material to write answer for me. That's what I
Okay.
would suggest. Like do the most common things first and then move on to specialization as you get more and more grip of what this exam is.
The importance of previous year questions and writing answers is always talked about. If we talk about previous year question papers, how relevant were they to your profession?
I think if you take, I had bought one web book for GS which had all the question paper from previous year. So I sort of looked at like what kind of questions they are asking from each topic. So questions, if you see, they are generally very simple. Now they have made it more difficult, but it's usually very easy. You can, if you know you have studied, you are able to write it. So that's what I did, and I did not practice any like questions before prelims. I tried writing few more, but it's actually everybody is confused at that stage, like what to do, how to write. But after writing prelims, again, I took some toppers answer sheet. I looked like how they have written answers and which have given them good marks. And I sort of took that, how they have written, what's the pattern they have they used diagrams, have they used examples, and I created for myself diagrams, I created examples, case studies, and data for myself. And the general points is something you can get from anywhere, any newspaper or any coaching institute notes. General points are very easy to get. So I used those general points and this and started writing answers. And I think it depends. Like some people, it's very difficult to get knack of writing answers. Some people, it's easier. So at the end of that, you have to know that Well, if your weakness is writing answers, I would suggest that write as many as possible. But if you are somebody who is having like easy things, you can easily write answer, then it will be much easier for you. So it's just work according to your pace. Don't be disheartened or this person is doing faster than me, because I have seen people who are not able to write at all. They work hard and they are able to get excellent marks, even better ranks than person who can write easily answers.
So persistence and know your strengths is what is necessary while deciding how many answers one should write and when to start writing answers. Let's go in the detail. Once done with prelims comes the main part, that's means writing. How would you suggest students should prepare for the essay part?
Essay is in my first mains, actually essay is something that we take very lightly, because if you know how to write in English and if you know your GS answer paper things, like all the knowledge, then essay you will think is very easy to write, and you will score good also while preparing and writing your mains answer test series. It's one of the things that we take for granted, most people, because you are able to score well. And what happened to me, that my first attempt I only got 105 for essay. So I would say that I would say that do not leave any thing behind, because for me, I had not studied how to write philosophical essays at all, and that backfired, because over there I wrote something and it was not, I guess maybe that did not strike a chord with whosoever was taking. So I would say that you practice philosophical essay, you practice technical essay, you should even practice writing essay on topic that you have no idea about, because just in case like something will come up, because there's are choices, right? Sometimes you might not get a good choice, something might come up which you are not able to face, and at that time you might panic, because only 3 hours and state of the mind is that time very, you have a lot of tension. It's the first paper also, so I suggest you practice that so that you can mold and be prepared, actually, that anything comes you can face it. And rest, quotes, notes, data, that is all very common, you will easily find anywhere on internet.
Okay, well said. But moving on, essay part is something which actually evolves, I guess, with reading quotes, as you mentioned. But when it comes to paper one, a lot of students find difficulty in selecting their sources. Since you said already we have an information overload, there is so much information over internet. What sources would you suggest for paper one?
If you look at paper one, there is a art and culture. So art and culture, they are giving. If you look at the question paper patterns, they are giving 2-3 questions rotating every year. Like Gandhara art, they asked this year, they asked the 2 years ago also. So please, for art and culture, go through that question paper, and it's very basic. You just learn those, and then you go for this basic Nitin Singhania or CCRT. That's what most of the aspirants do, and so I think that would be enough. Then then you have modern history and this independence movement thing. So for that I had actually read Struggle for Independence by Bipin Chandra, but that again, most people don't read it. I read it because it was entertaining for me. So that is your choice. You can skip it and just do Spectrum and NCRT. And NCRT also, some people do along with Spectrum, they do the Bipin Chandra, the old NCRT. That also I have not done. I had just done Spectrum. So either these, what I would advise is definitely do Spectrum, because that is the most beneficial one. Like cost benefit is much larger with Spectrum, especially if you want to crack in first attempt and all. You don't have to waste your time reading Struggle for Independence. Instead of that time, you can spend it on some optional or something, which will be much better. Then for world history, you can take some material from some coaching institute. That's what I would suggest. I had read Norman Law, but I had read that because I had interest in knowing about world history. But even without that, some coaching institute notes for world history would suffice, because what one 10 marker comes from that world history. For that, you just need to spend like couple of hours, like three, what in total preparation, some 12 hours, or that itself would do. But I had spent like so much time reading Norman Law, and there is very less marks you are going to get for that. And then a society. Society is again current affairs only. You know your basic society things, what women and all these things are very general. Then geography. My optional is geography, so I don't do any specific preparation for geography. But for geography, the best is NCRT. If you do NCRT, especially 11th and 12th, your basics in geography would be excellent. And if you want to know more, some people suggest JC Leong and all, that is fine. But I think NCRT is more than enough.
That's more of a static part GS1. Let's come to the second paper, GS2. How did you prepare for GS2?
If you look at the GS paper in the past few years, you will notice that they have started giving static questions also. Like what is CAG function, what is Attorney General this time they had asked. So for that, Lakshmikant enough. How do you study for prelims, right? You will remember most of it, hopefully. Or otherwise, you can just look at all these things. Just learn their articles, like what article is CAG, what article is Attorney General. All that you can just write in the answer, and you would know the function, right? What is the function of this person, this president or governor? What is, just do that standard question from Lakshmikant. Then everything comes from the this thing, current affairs. That is, you just keep track of what is happening in IR. Then again, all these terms are there in GS paper 2 syllabus, like terms like what self-help group is there, I guess. So such terms, just learn them and learn like 5 to 10 points about each of these topics, so that they will give like randomly anything. And if you're seeing this term, means you will know like some points to write in that, right? And learn some examples also of SHG, self-help group or something like that. Like Kudumbashree is there. So you can just simply write it over there, and that will give you extra marks. And that time you won't panic also that I don't know anything. So I would suggest go through the syllabus, look at each and every word. Just make sure that any question comes with those words, you have at least 5 to 6 points that you can write, apart from current
And
affairs with respect to GS.
the importance of reading very carefully the syllabus cannot be ruled out ever. Now let's come to GS paper 3. Since it's more dynamic, static is also included. How did you prepare for GS paper 3?
The best thing is economic survey. Like just memorize the economic survey. Every year they give it out, and every year I guess that is the most beneficial thing. You just read whatever data they have given, whatever points they have given. So that will cover a lot of that economic development, extra. Then infrastructure and all, again same thing. Have some basic points that you will get from any book anywhere, or just Google it. There are so many notes available online, and if you're taking some coaching, they will themselves give you some notes. Those are the basic things. Then on in newspaper you will read about such things, right? Like infrastructure is there, so you know that what infrastructure project is going on in India. You will know that we are planning for high speed railway or dedicated flight corridors. So just keep that in mind. It's, you are reading, you are connecting, you are reading, you are connecting, and you can note it down. And eventually when you will write your mains answers, all these will start coming to your mind.
All
And
right.
for GS3,
Uh,
science and technology, everything is all this current affairs oriented. Just read any current affairs magazine. And what I've heard is that people usually make like a couple of points and keep it so that they can use it in their answer.
as per Veena, economic survey is something she can swear by. Remember it completely if you want to excel in GS paper 3. When it comes to GS paper 4, okay, all the previous papers that we looked are more of objective in nature. But when it comes to GS paper 4, it's subjective, depends upon your perspective, and a lot of people have struggled while writing down case studies. What would you suggest to the aspirants who are struggling with GS paper 4?
I think case study is the simplest part, because what you read it, you just write down what is given in the question, you just think about issues. See, you take the syllabus of ethics, and there are like words in that, like probity or what is ethic, morality. You get the definitions of all these words and you memorize them, because when you're writing an answer, if you're writing a good definition, obviously that person who's correcting it will be impressed with your, knowledge. The second thing you do is you collect examples. Like you take a folder in your Evernote, you keep ethics examples and you just write them down. And whenever a question will come, like this time full was about civil, this thing, administration only. So you will have lots of examples of administrators that you can write in that. And for case study, it's even simple. When you see a case study, just remember, right, to think of your syllabus. Just think like from syllabus, what words are you connecting to these case studies, and from that case studies, connect those words, and you can use those words in the case study. And the simple solutions are very simple, right? What can you do? There is some issue, they usually give some issue like that. There is some water, I guess, pollution problem. So just think, what will you do? There is some pollution problem. Obviously, you want to solve it, right? So just give some answer, like what you will do as an administrator. That is something you just spend some time by yourself thinking, because you are preparing to be an IAS, IPS, or IFS officer. So just think about it in your spare time. Just invest in your dream. Like think that you are an IAS officer in between and all, and it will automatically start making sense.
Given the entire strategy of general studies, now comes the big part, the subject to choose for your optionals. A lot of aspirants have trouble selecting the optional since a lot of them come from diverse sections. How would you suggest one go ahead with selecting their optionals?
I think the most important part is the optional thing. And because what I feel is nowadays certain optionals are definitely getting more marks than the other optionals. That is one thing that optional should be scoring. The second and the most important thing is you. Because I have heard a lot of people, my optional is geography. My marks are well and fine in geography, but there are lots of people who are not able to score with geography, who are not able to assimilate like what geography is or how you have to give the answers. So in that case, like, you don't waste your attempts, you just change your optional in case it's not compatible with you. And that many people I have found with this issue, and have a genuine interest, because when you are writing an optional, right? Like when I am writing my geography paper, some issue comes in the newspaper, like it will come maybe what Nipah virus issue comes. So we had a question relating to Nipah virus and geography. So you have to think like a geographer, like from geographical perspective, what is this Nipah happening here? As a geographer, where do I connect this? So that's what you have to do. You have sociology, you read on paper, then I don't know exactly what happens in sociology, but for geography, this is what I did for paper 2 especially. And paper 1 and some part is obviously theoretical, that you will get from your notes from your teachers and your books. And second paper for us is application based. I guess most optionals are like this, but yeah, just take care that the optional suits and that it's not very bad optional that no one is ever able to get good marks.
So this was the entire strategy while writing down and preparing for the mains. After the mains list is out and you are in for the interview, how do you groom up yourself for the interview?
I think interview is something that is happening throughout your life. It's your personality test. So some people can mold their personality overnight. I have heard of that. I don't know what kind of miracle that is, but most of the people, you have a personality. You have been, you have a certain reaction. You have a certain opinion about everything that is happening around you. Especially since you are an aspirant to get into civil service. Obviously, you have read this much. You have certain opinion. Just think about those opinions, and obviously about what ethical thing you are, your own ethical fibers, that you have good morality, you are ethical towards people, how you talk, which becomes very important, because I have seen many people who are like very good. When you're talking to them as friends, they'll be very good, but when they sit in front of the interview board, they will choke up. So all that matters, like how you have formed your opinion, how you are able to communicate, and do not stress out or become tensed or anything. They just want to say that you're a good person who can make good decisions, who's good to talk to, who's calm and composed. That's it. And you just show it to them. And my dad used to say that for interview or anywhere you go, right, you have to show that what an special addition you will be to the service. Like if you're going to an interview, they are checking like, okay, I am taking you, I'm going to take you into the civil service. So what extra are you going to bring to the civil service? So every question they are asking you, it's a choice for you to tell them what you are. If they ask you about floods in Kerala, so you start answering. So it shows that what aspect of flood has affected, has taken your, attention. Like whether it was the environment part, whether it was the people's part, and how much you have connected it here and there, and how your brain is working, what you're giving importance to. Because when they're asking you any questions, all these years what you have been, it is what will come to your forefront. So if you are a civil servant, they're asking you some questions, you should show the concern to the society, you should show the concern to everything that is happening around you. You should not be like first option, oh flood is happening, I had a bad time. So that kind of issue should not be there. So you should show that I am a person who is ethical, who is pleasant, who cares about other people. So just this your personality that's coming out. And also that whatever you put in your DAS as your interest and all, that also shows. If you're putting your hobby as playing guitar, they'll ask you questions about guitar. So if it is your hobby, means you should know everything about it, right? That shows that how much interest, that shows your character, that you like something, how much have you paid attention to it.
Very well, Veena. So this was about Veena's entire journey of cracking the PAC twice. But let's talk about a few myths we have around the profession. Like a lot of people focus on how many hours one should study, how many different sources one should study, and about the discussions that are happening, the peer pressure. What do you have to say about this entire thing that is created around the profession?
I think a lot of people are scared in the beginning, because a lot of people call me and they are very scared. "Oh, what will I do? What will I prepare? Where will I?" This is like an ocean of knowledge. There's nothing like that. And everybody is scared. Everybody is clueless when they start. If people are clueless after 3, 4 attempts also, I have seen. So there is nothing to worry about. And it depends. I said, know yourself. What is your weakness? Like I have a weakness. I cannot do group study because I am a very disruptive force in group study. I will, try to enjoy my time with the group. So I avoided group study throughout my preparation. I study by myself only for my benefit and for the benefit of others. So that's what you have to do. Find yourself that. And then about this peer pressure, there is a lot of pressure, man. These days, I think that our generation is really facing a lot of pressure, but that's okay. Like it will get better. Everything is going to be fine at the end of the day. And you are a civil servant. This little pressure. What is it? This is nothing. After you crack the exam, you will be like, "What was that?" Right? So just be happy, find some hobby to do. And I feel like don't stress on how many hours you study and all, 10 hours, 12 hours. Like a lot of people get stressed because some people just sit with their books open. I got a call from a lot of people who tell me this, like, other people are sitting with 10, 12 hours. I cannot study for 10, 12 hours. It doesn't matter. Maybe it takes them 10 hours to study and you can study within 5 hours. So then what's you are the gainer, no? They are spending 10 hours, you are studying in 5 hours. And maybe like what to study. Like some people take and don't do these basic mistakes and all, like taking NCRT, then writing notes from NCRT, making notes of everything that you see, everything in newspaper, you are making notes. I've seen people do all these things. Do not do that. It's okay. Just take a deep breath, read every book, every book you are getting, read it twice. Then if you need, you make some notes. Okay. Usually first time you will feel everything is important. By the second time only you will realize what is more important, what is not. And chill out, relax, and always believe in yourself. You have made this far. You are a graduate in something or the other. So what? You can do a lot of things, a lot of things. So chill.
That's amazing, Dina. But still, this is such an overwhelming journey, and I'm sure this has been such a truly remarkable way of achieving things for you that a lot of students will find this video very helpful. One last advice that you would like to give to all the viewers and all the students?
I would like to say that Civil service is a good option, definitely, because most people who come here, they have like this big aspirations to serve people, to help people. But I want to tell you something. Always remember two things are there. First thing, you can crack it. There, you are anybody. Doesn't matter where you come from. Doesn't matter if you were like used to score the last. You were the last ranked person throughout your school and college. Doesn't matter anything. You can easily crack this exam. Just keep patience and just keep working, just keep improving on your mistakes, and just see that you are following the right things for each and every step of your journey. And another thing is, even if you don't crack it, because UPSC has a huge luck factor, and this exam does not at any cost decide your caliber or what you are going to be in your life. Because a lot of people are writing this exam, right? So at the end of the day, you are getting 1 or 2 marks less. It's not because you are not good enough. It is just because the competition was there, and by bad luck, you lost out on 5 or 6 marks, and that will throw you out of the rank list. And it happens a lot. So don't be disheartened. UPSC is just one option for you to excel. There are so many avenues. You can do so many good work. So always be happy and always, look for the positive side of things and stay optimistic.
Thank you so much, Veena. It was an amazing session to talk to you. Congratulations once again, and we wish you all
Thank
the
you.
very best for the years to come. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.